It's in the oven right now. The house smells amazing.
Yeah,
I
bet
wish
you
you
does.
guys I wish you guys could try it. It's
I mean, he can.
yeah, I guess you could technically. So yeah, I got a offset smoker and I've kind of geeked out in that whole realm.
Uh,
So I'm doing pork shoulder, so pulled pork,
okay.
and then so I do a Dalmatian rub, which is like salt and pepper on one, and then I got this rub I make, this sweet rub that I make um
Mm-hmm.
for the other, and it's like a 12-hour cook. So they're in the oven. I used to do it outside the whole 12 hours. Um, but now I was reading into it and learning, and more or less the smoke is infused until you wrap it. So once it hits a certain temperature, then I get to wrap it, and then after that, it's just all about maintaining temperature. You're not really getting any more smoke in there. So rather than
Okay.
sitting outside for 6 more hours, just put it in the oven and boom,
Are you making it for a special occasion or what?
for my tummy.
Oh, okay. I mean, is it a lot? You're doing a lot is what I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah. So when summer hits, I'll be doing
He's just
quite a
practicing.
few. Yeah, this is practice because honestly, end game here, what I'd like to do is get good enough at it where maybe I do a pop-up stand once a month or something like that to where I just, for $5 I'll provide pulled pork, and then I got this mac and cheese recipe. And then so what's really good is you take the pulled pork, put coleslaw and a little barbecue on a bun, and it's really good like that. Or you can take it and put it
Yeah.
on mac and cheese. I got a couple different ways I do it, and then I'm gonna
Okay.
start cooking brisket and yeah, and then chicken, and that's kind of what I want to do. So eventually,
Okay.
the goal is to drive around when we're retired and have like a smoker attached to my RV, and then just stop and pop up and cook food for people and then travel the country. That'd be really fun. So
So you'll have about 25 years to perfect this.
yeah, right, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Unless I hit
Yeah.
the lottery and I can retire sooner.
Yeah. My one of my things I always wanted to do was I wanted to do a bed and breakfast, own a bed and breakfast. But I love to cook breakfast, so it would be cool to have a place where, like, when we lived in Monticello and the land that we had, the 1.4 acres, I wish we could have put a couple little cottages up, so then people can go stay in the cottage and then come over to the house in the morning and have breakfast, and we can sit, talk, and do like a Airbnb. But of course, my wife wasn't too happy about that. She didn't want to do it, so she said it's a lot of work. I'm like, so, and if you love what you're doing, it's not work. So that's still one of my things I want to do. I like to Airbnb if I could.
Well, one of these days, I'll make sure you get to try it because I know you've probably had a lot of pulled pork in your life, so it'd
Yes.
be it'd be good to have your opinion on it. I've been told it's pretty tasty, so but I definitely value your opinion. So, and then Dewey,
Okay.
when we get you through here, maybe I don't know if your plans are to come through it all this summer, but that'd be cool.
Probably once.
Okay, so we'll
Well,
figure
it'll
that out.
more than likely be in August.
Oh, okay.
I mean, his birthday is in August, so.
No, I'll be down there August
And
10th through the
Grandma's birthday is
13th.
in August, so.
Yes.
What are you
Yep.
turning? 68? Is that?
Are you gonna be turning
Yeah.
six? No, you're gonna be 58.
Yes, sir.
I know. I just added 10 years to it.
I know it's all right. It's okay.
Someone's got to give you
Just
shit.
like, just like Daddy said, you keep sitting over your shoes, you're gonna be just as old as me.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
18 more years.
Yep. You try to look as good as me when you get up to my age.
Oh, no one's gonna look as good as you.
Hey, not even Daddy did look as good as me.
I didn't know people could live that long, so we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, Daddy lived till he was 71.
I know. And
So
he could have lived longer if he wouldn't have eaten, if he had been more mindful of what he was eating and taken a little bit better care of himself. So,
it wasn't just what he was eating; it was what he was doing.
yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that hard life when he was younger.
Yeah. Cooking
Yeah,
in bacon grease.
yeah, and shooting at people.
That too. That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, shooting the people and living in the streets. The streets wear you out more than anything,
You know,
you know. So it took them all away from here, every single one of them, except for Aunt Christine. She's still rolling.
she is, isn't she?
Yeah, she's 85, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, still cutting her own yard.
So I
I
was
don't even
thinking
cut my
about
own yard.
you.
You got
Are
a
you
little yard.
you mow your yard, Dewey?
No, we have HOA, so they do
Oh,
it.
oh, okay.
It's not that much though. It's
No, but they also do like the raking and everything, and all the upkeep of the exterior, besides the unit itself.
I was just saying, I was thinking about our podcast, our last one. I don't know what we're calling these things, but it almost felt like we could have just kept going. We were talking religion, sprinkled with some transgender topics and some other things. Did you guys give any thought to what maybe you wanted to talk about this week? It felt like there was still maybe some stuff that we could touch on with religion, but Dewey
Yeah.
thought maybe doing technology might be good. So I'm
Okay.
kind of I'm indifferent. So whatever you guys want to talk about is good with me.
I think we could probably take like 5 minutes on finish up on religion and then go into technology.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
It's not
just
gonna be 5 minutes.
no. I mean, 5 minutes on for each person. If they want to talk about it, if you don't want to talk about
No,
it,
we
then you
don't.
don't have
We
to.
don't
Just
have to have a time limit. It's just whatever. We're talking.
well, I'm gonna limit my time.
I feel like
Just
we swayed away from religion last time we talked about it. I feel like we talked about everything that was like you thought was wrong in the world and how that I guess has to do with religion. I didn't really understand where you guys were going. Got to transgender and all of that. I was kind of
well,
confused.
I just
I was,
it's a spiritual warfare. That's what I was trying to say, basically. It's a spiritual warfare, good versus evil. That's what it's about. Coming from the biblical side, coming from my foundation of where I would come from, it's a spiritual warfare. That's basically what I was trying to say.
but
So
And I
like
guess
religion
oh go ahead.
wise, what is it? What else is religion to you besides a spiritual warfare right now? I feel like didn't really go in depth of I guess why religion. Like we touched on the surface of why religion is important to you, but like you just kind of threw out feel generic things that a lot of people say when they believe in religion. But it's like I didn't really hear anything specific to your life that would like make it interesting or maybe like intrigue somebody who's kind of like on the fence of being religious or not, because like I feel like you have a way with words where you can persuade people almost, but like not really persuade, just tell your story with religion
mhm.
is what I was more so looking for in the last time that we talked about it, instead of talking about everything
Okay.
else in the outside world that I don't think really has anything to do with how you genuinely feel about religion. I feel like it
So
was
you want
portrayed wrong
so
when we
you want
talked
my
about it.
perspective then of religion?
No, just like what it means to you and why
Okay.
you are a religious person and how you think it's like changed your life for the better or for the worse. How like
hmm
you view things, but
Okay.
not like obviously the extremes. I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
like your
I get
day to
that.
day life, like people, like how you
Yeah. I know.
interact with people and all that.
I've I've had. I was just for me. It's religion is the kind of the most superficial way you can explain it. It's more of a everybody has their own personal thing, personal, not religion, but this personal
Beliefs,
relationship. Yeah, or personal relationships with some people believe whoever they want to believe. Mine just happened to be Jesus Christ, and Uh, a lot of things he's brought me through, he's protected me from it, from a lot of things that have gone on in my life.
Would you care
It's just
to talk
countless.
about
A
any of
lot.
those
Yeah,
things?
yeah, yeah. That's what I was going to do. I was going to talk about. Um, I will just give an answer. Just as when I was working in Minnesota, I worked at Shalom Home, and they were going to change the requirements of my job description. And so
To do more or
they came to
less?
me to, well, they basically what they were going to do is if you work a 0.6, you can get full benefits. They're going to change it that you have to work a 0.9 to get full benefits. And I didn't want to work a 0.9. So what they did, they made a position for me and they asked me to go to school to get my TMA. I didn't really want to do it, but they said, if you do it, we'll save a position for you. And
Were
everybody
they
else
gonna
had,
pay for it?
yes,
Oh,
yes, they were going to pay for it. And this is one of the things that I believe that God protected me from having to work more than I really wanted to. And they came to me and said, we will send you to school to be a TMA. And because it took like 13 weeks to become a TMA. So they were just starting this. And they said, we will hold a position for you until you graduate. And you become a TMA, and then you can, but until then, you can stay on your 0.6, but everybody else had to go to the 0.8 and 0.9, or either go to 0.8 to 0.9 or quit. That was their option. But they didn't give that option to me. So I looked at it as that was a blessing that was bestowed upon me. Uh, I believe that God put me in a position to, because of how I interacted with them at work and how I was always willing to go wherever they wanted me to go and do whatever they wanted me to do, that they would say, okay, well, you've done all this for us, we'll do this for you. So that happened. And then there was other instances in which uh, when I got fired, for instance, when I got fired from that job at Shalom, and I wasn't, I didn't want to come home. I didn't want to come home to your mother and say I got fired, but didn't have another job. And so when I got fired, one thing they asked me was, is there anything we can do for you? I said, yeah, sure. Give me the phone book so I can find me another job. And I knew about this other job, and I got the phone book, went right out to Shalom, Masonic, and got hired the very same day that I
you
got
have
fired from
to
one job.
you have to explain why you got fired.
Oh, I don't have to.
Well,
No, I got fired for
it's
accepting a gift from
for
a family member.
yeah, it's for
Yeah,
a
I know,
reason
I
that
know, I know.
isn't bad.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Usually when
No,
people
it's
hear fired, they're like, "Oh, what did he do?"
well, in some eyes it is bad. I got fired for accepting a gift from a family member. Uh, but and the person that gave me the gift was on the board of the facility, and they knew they weren't supposed to give it to me anyway. But they said, "No, you have. We want you to have it." So me and another person got fired for it,
And
and to make an example out of us, which was fine. So I went out and found another job that very same day. So when I came home to your mother, I said, I got good news and I got bad news. I said, which one you want first? And of course, she said the bad news. I said, I got fired today. And I told her why. And I said, but I have another job. So I just didn't want to come home. But at that moment when I got fired, because they told me at the beginning of the shift that we're going to determine your future with us and we'll let you know in a couple hours. Well, it wasn't a couple hours. They let me work the whole day and then they fired me,
of course they did.
you know. So I'm like, you could have just told me that in the morning. I could have went out. So I was like, whatever. So I went out and found another job. And I told them at the new job exactly what happened. You know, I made a mistake. I should have never accepted the money. Um, you know, and it wasn't just the money. They had been giving me gifts beyond that point. That's just the one that they found out about. And so they did. I mean, yeah. So I went out to this other job and got a job hired right away. I said, I want to take a week off so I can, you know, get things in order. And they basically hired me. And I worked there. I left Shalom. I worked there 10 years and I worked at this other job that I just went out and got. I worked there 20 years. So it's just how he had protected me from a lot of things. And that's just one of many, many instances. There was a time when I was who probably your age doing, and I was racing in daddy's car, and we were drag racing through the streets, and it turned into road rage, not on my part, but on his part. We went to one of these back streets in Omaha, and I pulled over. He pulled over. He runs up to the car with a gun in his hand, and he taps on the window with the butt end of the gun. I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm scared as heck. Man, I ducked down in the seat and hit the accelerator and just took off down the street, hoping he wouldn't shoot at me. But after thinking about that, I could have died in that instance, you know. And there's some. I feel like there was something. God had something better for me. He wanted me to live longer, have kids, um, affect other people's lives, and so I've taken that and tried to help people every day, especially in the hospital. So I feel like he works through me and helps me in my daily life. He's my calming piece in time when things get really traumatic and troublesome. It's like for me, it's like just be still and know that I am God, and that's my relationship with Him. Uh, it's the calm. He's my calming source, and he always has been. And I've accepted him. I think I was 7 years old when I realized that he was a very important part of my life, and I owe that to my mother. As my mother, she taught me some things, how to be and what to be. I took that spiritual side and really embraced it, and try to see all the blessings that were bestowed upon me. Uh, Everything that I've ever desired when I was younger, I've accomplished those things. I've always said when I was younger, I said only thing I haven't got is a motorcycle. That's my next thing. I wanted a I wanted an RV. I wanted a four-wheeler. I haven't had a snowmobile. Uh, I got a new car. I got a truck. I had everything I've always wanted those material things, and I wanted them at a young age. When I was younger. But as I got older, I started thinking back on when I was younger, all the things that I used to wish for. I pretty much got all those things. I've had a lot of things, two lake homes and vehicles and trips and stuff like that. Even though I would like to go out of the country, that's my next thing I would like to do. But and just the other big thing for me was one day I wanted to wake up and be able to open my eyes and not have to wear glasses. And when I got the cataract surgery with the implants, that came true. So that was something I wished for. I've been wearing glasses since I was 2 years old. And I've always wanted to wake up one day and be able to open my eyes and be able to see without having glasses or contacts. And that happened to me when I was, 50 years old. But I forgot about those childhood dreams or those childhood uh, um, ideals that I wanted to have when I was younger until I got older, and I was like, wow, he did. He fulfilled that for me. It happened on his time, not on my time. I wanted it to happen. I prayed, oh God, please let me wake up one day and just be able to see. But I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it at that time. And I really, really appreciate it now that that he's affected me in that way. So I guess I can just say, yeah, and that's just the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. uh, how religion, not so much religion, spirituality, my relationship with Jesus Christ has affected me and how it's made me who I am today.
I like that a lot better than
Yeah, I know.
the last episodes.
And I have other stories too. But I have to think about them.
Jason, what about you?
Yeah, there's some similarities as far as what Patrick said, as far as how it's religion. I feel like no matter where I've been at in my life, there's been some aspect of it's felt like that God has always been pulling at me, or he's always been there. And I guess for me it's more of a just that just him being there is really, as I've gotten older and just life experiences and things that's happened, has really just kind of gravitated me towards him. And then as far as getting older and my intellect and just looking at the world in a different light, being able to see beyond myself, um, like if we're sharing examples, just like different things, like when we were talking about, I think our first episode, how when I walked into my bedroom and I saw someone doing drugs there and they offered
Hmm.
me,
Yep.
like there was no reason for me to say no, but for some reason I did. And I don't attribute that to myself because there was nothing that had brought me to that point to say no. Like life experiences or just even my age. That would have been a perfect time for I was 13 years old. Like why didn't I do that? Just growing up how we did, we still like I didn't go to church with my mom or anything like that. But there was, the church would come around and they'd have a bus, and I was friends with kids that went to church, and so I would go to church. And it was just like constantly there was always some part of religion in my life. Um, and there's been instances where I potentially could have just thrown my life away, and for some reason something happened that prevented it. There's other things that's happened in my life where it seems it was so bleak, like to where um, the power has been cut off, things like that, like things were really tight, but for some reason something would always happen after I prayed, to where like somehow some way money would come and I was able to pay a bill or just do things like that. And so just things sprinkled throughout my life really led me to God. And my relationship with Christ, I'd say, is really taken away a lot of the negativity and a lot of um, just a lot of that sort of stuff. So um, God has just constantly been pulling at me, and I do I do attribute a lot of my success and just the stuff that I've gone through and overcome to Him, because yeah, I grew up with a mother that did drugs, and obviously, as you guys know, Daddy was in prison for a large part until I was about 12. So I grew up not really knowing who I was and not having resources and things like that. And we basically see it all around us as far as people growing up in destructive homes and how they turn out. And it is by the grace of God that my life took a different turn. And then, growing up in foster care and just different things. So I hope that kind of gives insight into what religion means to me. Um, so yeah.
Mm.
I think even though not, I don't think I'm religious at all, in any sense of the form. But I think religion has helped shape me into who I am today because both my parents are religious and they kind of, it's like, so the Bible has all of these, I guess, stories that are told to, I guess, have morals. And my parents I feel like they did a really good job of instilling like proper morals into me. And I think I kind of just like, even though I'm not religious, I take basically all of the values in my daily life to like always like help out whenever I can, to be a good person, to like if like turn a blind eye to anger. Like if I'm really mad, I can just like look back on all the times because I've made so many mistakes growing up as a kid, and like my younger years were probably the worst years for like in terms of temperament and like
Mm.
self-control, because I was going through a lot of, I don't know, inner strife, like dealing with who I am and being distant from my father and like not being able to see him when I want to see him. And I don't know, it was just like it was really weird for me growing up. I just felt like I was torn in a lot of different directions. But like I always tried my best to be like a good person. And even though, well, as I got older, like even when I'm not feeling amazing, I always try and make other people feel good, because I definitely know and remember when I was younger, I was just angry all the time. Whenever I'd go to school, I'd always pick somebody for that day, and then I'd just like either hurt them or just annoy them or something, because I was just like so frustrated, and I always would take it out on other people. But as I grew older, as I like realized, and I guess my brain developed more, and I had more conversations with my mom and my dad, they kind of like, well, they helped me just become a good person. And I guess in a way, like in the way that God would see me, I feel like that's kind of how I have been portraying my life, even though I don't believe in that type of God. But I'm always like, I want to be the best that I can be, so that future me can look back and be happy and like be fond of the memories that I have instead of regretting everything that I did.
God has molded us to some degree to who we are, and it's good that we can kind of recognize that, and um, on three different levels, of course. Um, yeah, I was thinking about a story when Grandpa almost got killed, and I was there. Uh, when the guy I used to play cards with came in that night, and I was happened to be there, and he tried to pull a gun on Daddy, and Daddy wrestled it away from him, and I was sitting right next to him when he hit Daddy, and Daddy fell back in the chair, and of course we scattered like roaches. Um, we just heard him uh, fighting with him and scuffling, and hear tables turning over and stuff being slammed, and came back in a couple of minutes later, and Daddy had the guy hemmed up in the bathroom. Had his I think he had his left left forearm underneath his throat in the corner, and the guy was trying to pull his gun out of his pocket with his left hand, and Daddy had his right hand on his pocket, and he eventually got it away from him. And I remember everybody that was there. Me and the guy that Daddy was playing cards with, we ran outside, and then Daddy's friend Gary ran in the back to get his piece, and he came out. And I remember the guy, his name was Tucker. He wanted to leave. And Daddy's like, "No, you're not leaving. You're gonna stay here till the cops come." And that could have ended up a whole different scenario if the guy would have got his gun out, because he could have shot Daddy. He could have shot everybody in there. And that was just another scenario where I felt like I was protected. But anyway, Daddy ended up getting the gun from him. The guy wanted to leave, and I remember Daddy taking these old mop buckets, the handle, the rubber part. And the guy wanted to leave, and he hit him aside the head, right aside his temple, right here. And the guy went down on his knees, and a big old welt just welled up on the side of his head, and this blood just shot out. Man, I was 9, 10 years old. That was scary, to see something like that. Uh, I've witnessed some things with Daddy that, I wish I would have never seen. Uh, I was there the time when he almost killed his girlfriend. It was me, Gus, and David were there. And he caught his Debbie, was her name. He caught her well, actually, he didn't catch her. Gus, our brother, caught her on the phone. We were coming in, we went horseback riding with David and Gus and Daddy. Came in, and Mo, Gus Jr., wanted to get on the phone and call somebody. He picked up the phone, and she was on the phone talking to some guy, and he listened to the conversation. Well, of course, he didn't particularly care for her that much anyway, so he went and told Daddy. That wasn't not something you should have done, even though the crazy thing about it is he was cheating on her, but he always said, as long as she don't know, it shouldn't matter. No, it does matter. You can't cheat on somebody and then expect somebody else not to cheat on you. So, but he called her, she never called him, I guess, whatever. So he goes off on her. He's like, well, watch this. He went upstairs and he asked her, who are you talking to? And she tried to say, I was talking to my brother. He's like, no, I just talked to your brother. He said he ain't talked to you in a week. So I know you weren't talking to your brother. Who are you talking to? And he proceeded to start beating her. And he forgot we were downstairs. And I remember David going to the stairs and hollering up, Gus! And he snapped out of it. He came downstairs, acted like nothing was wrong. You know, she came down like 2 hours later. Her face was all swollen. She had makeup on, tons and tons of makeup to cover up the bruises because he was just smacking her around. And I told myself I would never, ever do that. I never, when I put my hands on a woman, because I saw how it traumatized me and it traumatized Gus and David. So I'm like, I will never put my hands on a woman. Never. Never, ever, ever want to do that because number one, it's not right. There's nothing a woman can do to make me want to hit her. And I will leave before I do something like that. I would flat out just leave. I couldn't do it. And then I've heard about stories about Daddy was always like that. And that was the first time I seen it. But talking to Dennis, Daddy used to hit Mama, your grandmother. So I didn't know that. And so it's like, well, if he did it then, why wouldn't he do it back then? It's not something that you just start doing. You know, you don't just start. When he's in his 50s, you don't just start hitting women at 50. You've been doing it your whole life, pretty much. And he probably seen his dad do it to his mother because I've heard nothing but stories about Daddy when he left home. When he left home at 13, he said he used to tell his siblings, "If you see me come back here, I'm coming back to kill him," because he couldn't stand his dad. Because from what I understood, the grandpa used to beat the boys for no reason. But the girls can get away with anything, but he would beat the boys for no reason, and they all hated him. Um, but I guess as Daddy got older and Grandpa got older, he eventually came up to Omaha, and Daddy ended up taking care of him up here, which was good. I was glad to hear that. But they said he was just a mean man, just mean. And so I like to tell people my daddy taught me how to be a man, but he taught me how not to be a man. He taught me a lot of things of what not to do. And other thing I used to always say is he did so much wrong that his kids could never do worse than what he did because everything Daddy did was wrong. Everything he did, the way he bootlegged everything he did was illegal. You know, but he did it. He stayed in his lane. He didn't go outside of his scope of what he could and couldn't do. And he had people asking him to do other things, but he's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that. Nope. I know exactly what I'm good at, and I'm gonna stay there." That was a good thing about that.
Talk about technology, or
Yeah, let's talk about technology.
I saw you, man.
Oh, you
I
got to
got.
start with
What do
technology.
you mean? I have everything. When you were growing up, you had nothing.
Oh, man, that's why you had technology was here. The imagination. That's what technology was back then. Kickball. Oh my God. The first technology I saw was Dennis's reel to reel. That was technology to me.
What is that?
A reel to reel is where you could do. It's the first film. Things they did on film was reel to reel, but then they had music on reel to reel. Then it went to 8-track. Then it went to cassette. So that was technology for me. I remember when the first, what was that? The first Walkman, cassette Walkman you can carry around with you. They used to have these big giant boom boxes. And then they made them smaller and smaller, and then it became these little Walkmans with the headphones, with the wired headphones. When those came out, then it switched to CDs. And that was big until the first ones always skipped. You had the portable CD players, but they would always skip when you have them on. So they finally came up with ones where they wouldn't skip. So that was the new technology. And then I remember I was in Job Corps. This was in '86. I had a Walkman CD player with a remote clip-on remote control that was, of course, wired. But you put on your collar and you could fast forward, rewind, or play. And that was a big thing. That was, man, you had that. You was big, man. You was like, man, it's like it's having the newest technology at that time. So I came up with all that stuff. Remember cassette tapes, CDs, albums, internet when it first came out, AOL. Some people still have AOL. Um, America Online. What else was out there? But I've always loved technology. I've always loved stuff like that. Been big on that. Always had it up. So that's um, so I love technology now, but it has its pros and cons, of course. You know, there's good and bad in everything. So but now you hear about things instantaneously. No sooner than it happens, you can see it across the world now. Before, it would be weeks, months before you hear about stuff. So I like technology. I love it.
Yeah, I love technology too. I work in technology, so it's a big part of my life. Um, I'd say my first memory that I have of like technology would probably be in first grade. So I remember vaguely before computers when there was no computers, and then I remember like when computers started to come into everything. I guess that's what would be maybe the connection between yourself and then Dewey, because Dewey, you don't remember
Mm-hmm.
anything. You don't remember life before computers, right?
Well, I don't really know.
Okay.
Only the first technology I remember is the GameCube that my dad got.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what, 2004? 2003?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, that was a friend bought it for you for your birthday. Friend of mine. Yes.
So yeah, in first grade we had this game called Number Munchers. And I remember the
Never heard of
screen.
it.
You've never heard of it?
Mm-mm.
Um well, basically it was like I don't know if it was an Apple II or what, but more or less the screen it was still like there wasn't color. It was like the green and the it was like dark and green. Like there was only like two colors. There wasn't like full color display, or maybe it was a
Wow.
game. But basically, what it was like a bunch of squares, and there would be math problems on there, and You had this character, and you'd solve the problem, and so like 2 plus 2, and you'd solve that square, and the number muncher would move to that and eat it while you were being chased. So it's kind of like Pac-Man meets math.
Oh.
Um, yeah, they called it Number Munchers. And then, so yeah, that was my first introduction into computers. I really liked it, but for the most part, I'd say like I didn't really have a lot of technology in my life growing up. Like I didn't get my first cell phone until I was a freshman in college. Like it
Dang.
just wasn't, yeah, it wasn't normal
Uh,
for like my kids both have tablets, and my other son has a cell phone. He's had one since like freshman year of high school. So I didn't have one and it was like a flip phone. So I remember
mhm.
life well before all that technology. And I love technology. I love it, but I also think it's like one of those things that's bad too. Like so it connects us, which is great, but it also connects us so like with bad ideas too. So if like there's a bad idea or something that is a total lie, it spreads like wildfire.
Yes.
Um, so it's like there's a give and a take to that. It'll be interesting to see like where technology goes. I'd say my favorite thing that I remember would probably be my cassette player. I still remember those days of like cassettes and stuff like that. I still remember my mom had an 8-track player. Do you know what that
Mm.
is, Dewey? An 8-track?
Hmm.
Not to
Nope.
date myself.
No, no, he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know what that is.
So that was what was before cassettes. You know what a cassette is, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I do remember that. I remember my Walkman. I remember when CDs came out and how you used to be able to write CDs. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like you'd make CDs for like girls you liked and stuff like that and playlists and stuff like that. Um, and I remember like I sat down with Autumn because I still have a computer that burns CDs. And I tried to show Auden, I think I blew his mind. That's my high schooler for everybody that doesn't know. He's 16 now. And he just couldn't wrap his head around the idea of taking digital songs and being able to write them to a disc. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So yeah, I love technology, and those are some of my favorite or early memories of it.
Yeah. I was somebody was maybe it was you, Jason, or somebody was talking about. It was you. We were talking about um, back in the day with cassettes, how you would have to sit your recorder next to the radio to record a song, and hopefully nobody comes in the room. And hopefully nobody come in the room. Hope nobody knock over anything, or hope nobody talking in the background. Be quiet. Shh. You put the cassette recorder in the room next to a speaker, and you record a song. And that's how we would record songs back then.
Mhm.
Before they would come out on cassette, you want your own personal. You want certain songs, and then they would announce what songs are coming up, so you can
Mm.
prepare yourself to record them when they come on. So then you make your whole cassette tape, all the songs you want to hear. And so that's how it was way back in the day. I mean, oh my gosh, it just. I remember when
Yeah.
they had vinyl, record player, and you go. I remember going to the record store and putting a record on a record player and listening to it in the store. It was like I don't say KTL, but it was some type of. I can't remember the name of it. But you can hear the song throughout the whole store, and you listen to the song like Rappers Delight was one of the first raps to come out. And you would listen to, oh man, I gotta have that. And you'll buy yourself a 12-inch album, and you would buy that, and you go home and you just play it over and over and over again. And I can even go back to when I was 8, 9 years old, and I had Jackson 5 record. I had a record player, little portable record player, and I had the little. Now I'm really dating myself with this one. I had little figurines of the Jackson 5, and I would put them on my record player in front of me, and then put the record on it and pretend they were singing it.
Oh,
That's
that's cool.
that's going way back. I mean,
Yeah.
man, I was probably 73, 74, something like that. Yeah, ABC and Ben and oh my God, all those songs. And just you had to use your imagination back then because there was no that was technology at that point. You had the big old like you said the console TVs with the we had that and but that was it and in the record players and that was it. Uh, no we had 3 channels. TV went off at night. Come on in the morning. Um, I remember hearing what was it, the Star Spangled Banner or whatever it was they would play at the end of the night, and then the TV would go white screen, and that's it. From basically 12 o'clock at night till like 6 or 7 in the morning, there would be
Mhm.
no TV. Yeah, so
Oh yeah,
that's
you
cool.
remind me like antennas.
Yes.
Um, yeah, like we didn't have the digital fiber optic cables that, screwed
Mm-mm.
back into the TV. I remember like, and you'd fidget with the antenna and to get the
Yep.
picture to be right. And
Aluminum foil.
yeah, we put foil on those to like try to pull the reception a little more.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a lot easier now. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But it was still. I mean, but and back then we played outside a lot more.
Yeah.
Everybody was outside. Nobody was inside doing anything. I mean, if you want to stay in and make you something to eat or get you something to drink, otherwise you're outside. You're outside playing, coming up with playing kickball soccer or kickball baseball and playing football and basketball and just running and skateboarding and just everything. You doing everything outside. Never, never came in the house. Yep.
Yeah,
But
we
now
did a
it's
lot
the
of that
opposite.
too.
I think
Yep.
growing
It's
up, it was still kind of like that for me. Up until I was like 10 is when it like really got good. for technology, 2010. And then that's when like more people were inside, but I think people were still outside during the summertime. But since we lived in Minnesota, it was always just snowing or like really cold outside. So it's like sometimes you just have to be inside.
Yep. Yep.
So when I was growing up, the first ever system I had was the GameCube, but then at my mom's we got a desktop computer. I don't even remember what Windows it was. It's probably like Windows XP or something like that. I think that's what it was called. And then it took probably 5 minutes to start up. And then when you do get it working, you could only click on one thing and it would load it for the next 30 seconds to a minute. And then if we ever got a phone call to the house, all the internet would drop out. And then, so back in those days, I wasn't even like on the internet at all because we couldn't even really use it because it was connected to our phone line. So there was like I think it's an Ethernet cable or something like that. Just straight from the phone line. And then you'd plug it in and then it'd be like hanging from the kitchen because it was in the kitchen into the living room for us. And then you plug it into the back of the desktop and then you have some internet. But whenever we needed to use the internet, we would always go to the library. So that desktop was mainly used for like CDs and like playing games, like PC games, like disc games. So I used to have a bunch of like learning games because my mom's a teacher. So I'm assuming she got like some free games maybe. And then I used to really be into chess. So I had a chess game. It was like a fantasy chess game. So all of the pieces were like the pawns were fairies, I don't even remember everything, but like they were all different types of like mythological creatures. And then eventually I got a Lego Star Wars game and I used to play that on the PC all the time. And then when I was at my dad's house, my stepbrother used to play Age of Empires all the time on the laptop, on the family laptop, and I would just watch him for hours playing that game. So that game, it's a real-time strategy game. So you basically just take a small civilization where it's like 5 people, and then you gotta gather resources and then build your empire up. And then you're basically on a race to beat the people around you. So you can have it set up to, I think it's like you can have 1 enemy or up to 7 enemies. And then you can also have it to where there's like factions where you're an ally with another enemy and then you can be against the 6 other players. And it's just like a bunch of different things. And then they also have a campaign mode that you can do. And I think that was like the first introduction to like, I feel like that was real PC gaming to me. Because it was like you're only ever able to play those type of games on the PC. And ever since then, I fell in love with those type of games. And then, what was it? When did the first Xbox come out? Wasn't that like when I was
Was
a
it like
toddler, like 2001?
Jason didn't know that. I don't know.
And then the Xbox 360 came out in like 2007 or 2008. And then I
yeah,
remember,
I was just gonna say the Xbox came out November 15th, 2001.
dang.
Nice
Yeah, so
nice job to put that out like that.
Well, no, I just saw a YouTube video so I was on YouTube like yesterday, and it was a video it was titled "Booting Up the Xbox for the Very First Time, November 15, 2001." And then I was like,
Wow.
oh, but I didn't even watch it. I just saw it. And I was like, oh, that's a cool video. And then I just remembered it right now. But then in like 2008, I asked my dad for an Xbox for Christmas. I was such a bad kid. And then, being a good father that he was, instead of getting me an Xbox to where I'd sit inside all day, he got me a bike. And then I yelled at him for getting me a bike. And then, even being an even better father that he is, we brought it back to Kmart. That's kind of dating myself, because some people don't even know what Kmart is. That's like people who are
Exactly.
way younger than me. But we brought it back there, and then didn't you get like in-store credit there?
I think so.
Because it was like you would get like $70 or something like that, or like something
Yeah.
really bad for cash. And then they're like, yeah, in-store credit. Did you even end up spending that in-store credit?
I have no clue.
I feel like
I have no.
I
I
feel
probably
like
did.
there's no way. But let's see. Then the first like console that I got for myself was a PlayStation 3. What was it? A refurbished one from GameStop or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
That intro screen they had there, I remember that. It was so cool. Like the blue is all ethereal and like
Yep.
and it had like a square that was like hovering or it was doing something.
No, it
I'm
was
trying
just
to
like a bunch of logos, and then it was like they were just pulsating almost, and then the
Yeah,
background was
that's
still the wave. You want, man?
yeah, it was I remember
Mhm.
that. And
But
see the first oh go ahead.
what, I don't even remember what game you got me with that. What games did you get with the
Man,
PS3?
I remember you used to go to GameStop all the
Uh
time,
huh.
and we used to get you for your birthday and like Christmas. We would get you once you had the game. We would give you gift certificates. GameStop. You would go to GameStop and just you get whatever you want. I'm like, I don't care. I don't even know what these games are. Just let's go. I don't care. You know. And he would get them, and I remember you used to. Didn't you exchange or trade games at GameStop?
Probably, because back then you'd probably
Yeah.
get a better deal.
Yeah, you was trading games and stuff
Well,
like
no,
that.
you'd sell them, and then
Yeah, and you get the credit
but then I
towards
would just
those.
immediately buy new games.
Yeah, I stopped playing games when you had your GameCube. That's when I
That is such a
knew
lie. That
that.
is such a lie.
No, I did not
What
play
about the Wii?
to
What
that
about the
degree.
Wii? What about Wii Golf?
Oh,
Mm.
hold on. No, the tennis. No, but hold on. But then no, I didn't play any other game like I played the Nintendo because
The
when
Need for
you guys
Speed.
left, yes, when you guys left, I spent many mornings playing that damn game, trying to get you guys, where you could open up different cars and different tracks and stuff like that. I would be playing and the sun would be coming up. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's been 8 hours later and I'm still on this dang game.
And
And that's why I was like, no,
realize. We'd be like, oh, look, the game's opened up more.
this game was open up, but who did it? I'm serious because at the time that I had Jada and Dewey, I had them like 6 days in a row, and then I didn't have them for 8. Well, those 8 days, when I come home from work, I would get on the GameCube and I would play. I would get off at like 11 o'clock at night, and I would play till 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what am I? And I got to go to work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, what am I doing? And I would do that for 3 or 4 nights right after they leave, and then I was like, I don't want any. I don't want any conflict because I know how I am. I just get sucked into them. And I was opening up all these games and all the tracks and cars and stuff. So when they came back, oh yeah, we can use this car, we can use this track. And I'm like, I did this for you guys. They're like, they didn't have a clue, but they were just having fun. So, but yeah, that's why I like you get whatever you want to get. I don't want to play no games. But then I take that back, dude. You are right. I remember I used to play
Angry Birds.
in the Rogers house. Thank you. Thank you. I would spend months.
He did the same thing. He did the
I wa-
same thing sitting in his bed on his phone.
for a month. I was on the same stage in the same place until I got. Cause see, I went through and did all the Angry Birds. I completed every section of it, but I had to
He's a
have 3
completionist.
stars on everything. Yes, I had to have 3 stars on every level. So I went back through the Angry Birds. And I stayed on one particular spot until it would be a week. I would play that spot for 1 week until I got 3 stars. And I said, there's a problem here. I can't do this anymore. So I mean, I play sporadic. I play my Texas Hold'em every now and then. Not every now and then. I play it
All the
a little bit
time.
every day.
All the time you were playing that.
But
Zynga
I
poker.
play it every day. Yes.
He'd be
And I
up.
have 3 accounts.
I'd get to his place on Friday. He'd be up 24, like 200 million credits on there. And then by the time I leave, he'd be down like 100,000. Because he'd
I got
always be
pissed off.
playing.
I got pissed off as thinking they closed my account down on my Gmail. I had 54 billion chips, and they locked me out. I couldn't get in no more. I was pissed.
They said
pissed. I sent
he
them a
has too
letter.
much.
Yeah, like, you can't play this no more. You can't play no more. So okay, but yeah, no. So I do play video games. It's just
Mobile games.
not on consoles. Mobile games, yes,
Do you still play mobile games?
yes.
What do you play now?
I have 3 different poker games that I play.
3 different poker games.
3 different ones, yes. Yeah, yeah. I have 3 of them that I play pretty much every day. Because if you don't play, when you
That's how they
you
get
get a
you.
free spin. Yeah, you get a
The
free
daily
spin if you don't play
spins.
every day. Yes,
It's
if
like
you
a
don't do that,
multiplier.
they send you all the way back to, yeah. And if you don't play, they send you all the way
The
back
progression
to
system.
5%. Yes. That's how they keep you locked in. So,
That's how my Plants vs Zombies game is.
Mm-hmm.
is it?
Yeah, it's a mobile game, and basically every day they got like something that you got to do, and then they got a calendar of gifts. So every time you log in, that sort of deal, and then I play Pokemon Go, and that's a whole experience upon itself. So
I played Pokemon Go last year for like probably 4 or 5 months, like when it was like really warm. And then whenever I would go to work, well, I was going to work every day back then, but I would go to work, and then for every single one of my breaks, I'd go on a walk. And then I like never took lunches, so I'd only go on like 2:15s every time I was there. So I'd take a nice walk around the park, and then come back, get my eggs hatched for Pokemon Go, beat some more gyms, take them back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Team Valor for life.
Yeah. I was on Team Mystic, and then I changed to
Oh,
Team
yeah.
Valor.
There you go.
Only because Gabby was Valor.
I have no clue what y'all talking about, but
You know what Pokemon is, though, right?
I know what Pokemon. That's
We
about it.
we grew
I
up
don't know
on Pokemon, so he
Yeah.
has to know what Pokemon is.
No, I know what Pokemon is, but I don't know the details, the specifics of Pokemon. I
Yeah.
don't know. I remember I used to watch all that stuff.
So Pokemon Go
And-
came out in 2016, and
Okay.
it was like a phenomenon because it got people outside walking. So then there's like,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that. When was in Crystal, you would go down to the park, right? They had was it when you can use your
I
phone
feel like
and you
yeah, but I don't think I was playing
Yes.
Pokemon Go.
I
No,
think you did it
because-
briefly.
Yeah, because that was the summer. So the summertime is when it came out, and we moved
Yeah.
that like August.
Okay.
So when we moved, there was literally nothing around us. I was like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember down in the cities there was stuff all over the place. I remember.
hmm
I remember that now. Yeah.
And then there
Ooh,
was
wee.
like all the news reports of people going into like they're like trespassing to get Pokemon.
Going into
Yes.
cemeteries and
Yeah.
like playgrounds, so you'd have like grown ass men like going into like kids' playgrounds and stuff. It was
Mhm.
yeah.
Wasn't
Just
there
a
a couple of instances where people got hit by cars because they were looking on their phones and they weren't paying
Yeah.
attention around them?
People,
Oh yeah, there'd be
well,
people that
people
jumped
were
off
playing
cliffs
in
and-
their cars.
Yeah.
Oh,
was-
that's crazy.
That's why they
Yeah,
had
people were
to
dying.
do a speed limit. So if
Yeah.
you go over 12 miles per hour, it doesn't count your steps at all. So it's
They upped
20
it to 20.
kilometers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but
People were hooked on that stuff.
people still go in their cars and drive just under the speed limit for like so they can get their steps.
Oh my God. That's like cheating.
No comment.
Okay. It's one of them, huh? Okay.
Oh, it's not like I'm driving like in it, more or less now what I do is yeah, there's no
So
way.
rationalize it now.
Yeah. No, a lot of times I'll just go and I'll park and then I'll
Mhm.
play.
Like
I've
in a
given up
park.
on the whole hatching eggs thing, steps and all that. I just want to pretty much catch them all now. That's kind of my mentality. So, but there's actually a
You still
huge,
doing it?
yeah, I'm about done now because
Wow.
there's a
They
huge
kind of
turmoil going on.
they messed up the game.
They did.
Okay.
And like in a terrible way. They did all these cool things like during the pandemic you couldn't really go and play with other people. So they introduced this concept called remote raiding. So you would basically be able to raid you'd be able to go to this gym and fight this Pokemon with other people. And then so
Without
you'd
having to be
go
there.
yeah, without having to be there. And then, so now what they've done is they've raised the prices of these remote passes and they're trying to so basically if you're a rural player or you're disabled, they've made the game pretty much inaccessible for you.
They're trying to
Um,
make you go back outside.
so like there's this whole like tug of war and it is kind of crazy. Like I've been trying to rack my brain of like a game that I've played or just something I've done to where the creators of that product are wanting you to use that product the way that like instead of you using the product as it fits your life and being happy and enjoying it, the
Mhm.
creators of that product dictating to you how to use the product.
That's
Like it's really
Nintendo. That's literally
but
Nintendo.
like Nintendo, but how would you
If
say?
you post any type of like Nintendo content that has any type of mods or anything, they take down your channel. So like YouTubers can have like millions of subscribers, and if they post one video with mods, their entire channel will be taken down, like deleted
Or,
off of YouTube.
or if you buy a Nintendo and then you jailbreak
Yep.
it and then you sell that Nintendo, then they'll take 10% of your
Income for the
salary
rest of
for
your
the rest
life.
of your life. That's
Wow.
nuts. Did you hear about that, Patrick?
I think we talked about
Uh-huh.
it. What was it? The last one and the first one.
10%. What?
Yeah, they so this guy bought a bunch of Nintendos. So he took
Okay.
his own money and he bought Nintendos. So the company
Okay.
got their money from him.
He
So
bought a bunch of Switches.
he owns this physical hardware now. And then what he did is he went and he how do you explain jailbreak? He
Well,
more or less
He modified it. Modified it.
he used to jailbreak his phones all the time. He knows what jailbreaking
Yeah.
means.
Oh,
okay,
I know what all that is. Yes. Yeah.
so he jailbroke all these and then he resold them. So
Oh.
and then so Nintendo comes and they sue him for doing that. And then so the settlement was that Nintendo will get 10% of his income for the rest of his life.
After
Wait. Is it
after
10%?
he's already been in prison too.
Yeah, he went to prison too for it. Like it's crazy. So
Why?
it'd be like you buying a cell phone, then
Yeah.
jailbreaking it,
Jailbreaking it,
And then
and then
reselling it.
selling it, and then Apple coming and suing you and it's insane.
How much was he making off of this though? Was he making a lot of money? Is that why they just
No.
didn't want their name getting
No, it's an
associated with it?
example. They're
Oh
using
yeah.
him
Okay.
as an example.
Yeah.
To say,
But
Should it-
don't mess with
should it
us.
matter? Should it matter? Like once you buy something, it's like yours.
It's yours. Exactly. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
That goes back to me when I used to sell clothes. I worked at Dayton's and I got the discount and I would go and buy the clothes and I would buy $500 worth of clothes and then I would bring them from Minnesota to Omaha and I would resell them.
Because there's no
You know,
closing
and
tax
then,
in Minnesota.
yeah, there's no closing tax and I would give stuff dirt cheap anyway. And so I would bring it back to Omaha and I would sell it to my people and and they would buy it, and then they would try to talk me down. You know, oh, no, you give me what I asked for. Otherwise, because I had receipts for everything, so whatever I didn't sell, I'll take it back to Minnesota and take it back. So there's no loss there. But I would stop at the Nike outlet store on the way home, and I get the military discount and stuff was on sale. And I remember I bought some Jordans. I got them for like $30, whatever. And I came back here. I sold them for $60. And it's just I was selling clothes out the back of my car, basically. Uh,
Adidas
People
has the
loved it.
best military discount. They have like
Yes, they do.
it's like 20 or 30% for their military
Yep.
discount.
They call that hustling.
Yeah,
For those who
that's
don't know.
what they call it.
So
Yes, that's
like my senior year of high school, there's a what was it? An outlet mall. Like what was it? 20 minutes away from where we lived. And
Yep.
there was an Adidas there, and they always had like the clearance rack, and I always go back there. So I go back to the clearance section for like shoes, and then I found like a pair of shoes that I really liked, and they were like, I think they were originally probably like $80, and then they marked them down to like I think it was 30 or $40, and then
hmm
I think they had a sale going on, and then I also added the military
20,
discount.
30%.
So then after all of that, it came down to $18 for the shoes. And then I wore those shoes for 4 years. $18 shoes.
Didn't you at one point, weren't you buying shoes and reselling them?
On eBay for a little bit. I don't even think
Yeah.
I saw much of a profit. I think it was
No,
just
I
something
remember
for me
you were
to
doing
do.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I thought about doing that. And
Too much
I saw
work.
these shoes. Yeah. I saw these shoes and I should have bought them. They were you can look them up. They're Kobe 3s, the 3Ds. And they were too much for me. They were like $175, but they had them marked down to like 80 something dollars with my discount. I never got them. I looked online the other day. You know how much they're going for now? $500 and $600.
What's that?
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
5,000, 6,000%?
yeah. I'm like, I should have. I mean, and the cheapest one you can find is like $350. I'm like, man, I should have bought them shoes back then. But I thought they were too high for me at that time. They never came down. So, but yeah, people ask me all the time. They still ask me to this day, you gonna ever get back into selling clothes? No, because that would require me to go and work for a company that I get the discount at, and then got to do all the shopping. I have to go work in like Macy's but if I did it, it would have to be somewhere up in Minnesota because I want to go somewhere where they don't have it here. Because at Brookdale, at the mall at Brookdale, which is no longer there, they catered to the urban community. They had Sean John, and they had what's the other one? Fubu, yes, Fubu, and Sean John, and all that stuff. So they had a lot of urban wear out there. So I would go there and catch that stuff on clearance. And I dabbled in the Hilfiger and Polo and Ralph Lauren and all of that stuff. But most of the people like the Fubu and Sean John and yeah, all that stuff. So I would buy like the jeans and stuff. The jeans be like $95. I would get them for like 15. And I would bring them home. Nicole Miller. I had a Nicole Miller leather jacket. It was $1,200. I got it for $125 with the discounts and everything. And I came home and sold that sucker for like $400. I thought I was making good money. Yeah, so I did that for a while. People loved it. People loved it. I just come home every weekend.
Yeah, it's cheap
with
clothing.
clothes. Yeah. But and then I think your mother didn't like it though.
You were just you were a mobile Opitz.
Yeah.
Except for
Yeah, pretty much.
the clothing was fine. Because Opitz
Yeah.
is they deal with
Irregulars.
the messed up.
Irregulars. Yeah, they deal with the irregulars. Yeah, I remember Opus though, man. That place is still open.
Yeah.
I gotta go check that. I gotta check that out when I come back.
Gabby's mom and like her entire family goes there like once a week.
On Wednesdays, I believe. Wednesdays is the day to go. I think it is.
They go any day.
Yeah, you can find stuff 90% off there. I remember that. Yeah. I'm about to go up there and check it out. Yeah. So yeah, I had. That's what Daddy always said. He used to always say, always have a hustle. Always have something you can do on the side. So that was my hustle. Until I got into massage.
Next week, Patrick's going to be looking fresh as hell.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Next
Have
week,
a-
he's going to be all decked out.
Have a Louis jacket on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
Some
kept
Ray-Ban
some of the things that I
glasses.
bought. Yeah,
He's gonna have
I got
the
some
he's gonna
gifts
have
for him.
the Apple AirPod Maxes on his head.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have me some give me some. I got some of these glasses. I bought sunglasses, but I can't wear them
Why?
because I got glasses on. I can't. I got to get my contacts. Once I get my contacts, I can wear my sunglasses. I bought some on the ship. They're really nice. They're like they look like Jamie Foxx's. They're like this big. They're fat though, man. Actually, I got them over there. I'll put them on next week. I'll wear them next
Cool.
week on the show.
Yeah, that was a good discussion that was on topic. So
Yes.
we didn't go too far off, except for hustling.
No.
But I like that stuff.
I feel like
so
we can
that was
talk
good.
about that. Oh yeah, we should talk about that next week. I got a story.
How we
I got
hustled?
some
Oh,
stories.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Little
let's
side
do
hustles.
that. Let's do side hustles next week. I like
Well,
that.
if any of you guys have any side hustles that you have done, let us know down in the comments.
Well, you guys take care. I'm gonna go. I got Charlie knocking on the door, so I better get
All right.
to it. So
I gotta
All
go
right.
to a birthday dinner.
Well, enjoy. I'm gonna go and take a nap.
that is
Yeah.
such a funny dichotomy. So he's gonna go take a nap. And then
Oldest.
me in the middle, I got my kids to tend to, and then you're gonna go hang out with your girlfriend. Like that's
You
the
don't go
perfect.
party.
Yeah, that's like right where we're at on the spectrum of things. That's
Yes,
so
sir.
funny.
The value of naps is unappreciated. I tell you.
Oh, I love naps.
Oh yeah.
I nap
I
for
am
too
gonna go
long,
take-
so I don't nap.
Oh, you sleep.
I sleep. I don't nap.
I could take a half an hour nap. I'm good.
I take a half hour. It turns into 4 hours.
Oh no, that's too much for me. Then I can't sleep at night.
I'll still sleep
So-
at night.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
you guys
I love
take
you
care of
guys.
yourselves.
Yeah.
Love you
See you
guys.
later.